we're back for another episode of the After Hours podcast. This week it's very special because I have somebody who was one of the first people when I moved to Plainview. After I lived in Dix Hills and grew up and moved in with my father, meeting Nick. I forget how the relationship started. I remember you and my sister were dating at the time, or I forget how. I'm okay with it because you're family, man. So I forget how it started. I remember we were neighbors, or we lived a couple houses down, and my father had like a relationship with you also in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then we just ended up connecting, and when you meet somebody in life that you just kind of connect with, and it was ever since then that we had a relationship. So just to have you on here is awesome to, finally chop it up, man.
I appreciate you, bro. You've been doing some great stuff, obviously, with the mortgages, which I don't want to talk too much about mortgages because it's every podcast for you. So I want to give you a break, too. Yeah. And it's your main job and with how you make money and do your thing. But, I mean, with the studio, with doing the podcast, it's not an easy endeavor. And a lot of people don't understand until they actually get into doing it. Yeah. The media side of things can be quite challenging. A lot of people believe it's just clicking a button and everything is good. I know my man behind the camera can attest that it is a lot of damn work in all parts, the audio, the video, the lighting, everything that you do. So the fact that you were able to get the new space, which is beautiful, by the way, and then obviously get a sick little studio in the back is just awesome, man. You've been doing great things, and the constant evolution and just continually bumping up in life. Sometimes we don't see it in the moment, but in the look back where you can actually appreciate some of the fruits of the labor. Yep. You look back and you go, damn, like I did level up. Like I remember when you first started the podcast and you were on 110 next to the barbershop. Like that's, now you got your own actual space. So it's really cool to see the levels. And then just like how we were first introduced, I mean, I lived a couple of doors down from you and we both shared similar interests in video games, Halo, and just
in the garage.
In the garage, I just dudes walking in and out of my garage with I had a couch set up. Yeah. The funny thing was my mom was a single mom since I was 2, so she always wanted to make sure that she had a welcoming and fun environment for my friends to come over and hang out because she always wanted to be the fun mom, and she was. She was always the fun mom, and she was always the mom that you go to for advice when maybe you couldn't even go to your own parents sometimes. Exactly. But the cool thing was she always went out of her way to set up amazing spaces and amazing things for myself and my friends. So when we moved into the Hamlet, which is the development that we met at, that we first lived in, we were able to transform the one-car garage into a playroom to hang out.
It was a playroom, then a gym.
Yeah, then a gym.
Whatever you wanted, which was...
Yeah, now it's storage. it's half gym, half storage now. But it was cool because she got to put a carpet down and we built an armoire built into the wall with shelves and everything like that. And so we're playing OG Xbox One and Halo came out, so we had a couch in there. Everybody would come in. I just leave the door open after school. After school, the garage door would be open. Kids in the neighborhood would just be walking around, come in, play a couple games of Halo. All right, get the fuck out. And just it was a cool vibe and a much different. Simple times. Back then they didn't seem simple. I talk about this with a lot of people. Yeah. It's just you don't feel like it's simple in the moment. You feel like the stressors and the things that you're going through are make or break, end of the world style for whatever it might be. And then you look back and you go, oh, that was easier. Same thing with I'm ranting already, but it's the same thing with money. People that have a little bit of money, but they continually level up their game. They go, oh, I can't wait to have the Lambo. I can't wait to have the big house. I can't wait. It's when I have all the money, it'll solve all the problems. And it's in some cases it might alleviate some stress, but it's weird how the problems extrapolate and become different once you attain those different levels. So the little problems that we had back then, because we look back on them now that they're small, they seemed humongous back then. Amazing. Getting a blood test on a Saturday. Oh, God, anxiety.
Whatever it was, not having the money to go to paintball on Saturday was
how am I going to get a case of paint?
Was the most, those were the problems that, growing up as a kid, not understanding now, fast forward 10, 15, 20 years later, having a business and having a daughter, having, any responsibilities in life that now are kind of not non-negotiables, but it just comes with life and comes with being an adult. Looking back to growing up at 15, 16, 17 years old, like you said, and I talk about this a lot, I guess when you're in the moment, not realizing whether it's a problem or it's something that you're trying to accomplish in life, once you finally get to that point, and like you said, whether it's financial success or, fitness success, because I know that's a big part of your life, and that's something I've tried to focus on more lately. Once you get there, it's like, what's next? What's next? And that's how I'm geared. Sometimes I try to realize you have to appreciate, the moment that you're in and be grateful that, 10, 15 years ago, you might not have thought you'd be here. So that's something I have focused on more the last couple of years, being grateful for now and realizing that this was something I dreamed of 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't know the path you would go down or how you would get there, but when you do accomplish things in life, you have to be appreciative and understand that this is something that you probably wished for, so when it does happen, that's something I've worked on.
Well, your goals and the goalpost always changes and moves. Exactly. So it's like now you have your own space here for your business. Yeah. You have your podcast, you have everything like that. And it's like, this is something, like you said, you looked forward to in years past, but your mind's already on the next goal. So there's a blessing and a curse, to be honest with you.
Not everybody's built that way.
Unfortunately, they're not built like that, but I believe that living in the modern society that we live in now, it requires to some extent for us to constantly be looking forward. Like when the rent's already paid on the first of the month, by the 8th, 9th, you're already looking at next month's rent. And that's an unfortunate part of what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, especially because you have a daughter, especially because you're trying to live more meaningfully and in the moment. And when you're constantly looking ahead, it takes us out of that headspace. So it takes us out of the ability to enjoy what's now. Not to darken the mood a little bit, but I had Kenji.
Yeah.
And Kenji passed in August, and I haven't done a podcast since June, my own or anybody else's. Not because I didn't want to, but because I just haven't been in the right headspace to get behind the microphone and kind of talk about everything. And I'm going to do my own show again at some point and bring up everything that happened with Kenji.
You're an authentic person. You want to speak about what's really
I want to speak about
going
things. I want to talk about life. I want to talk about just things in general, and I'm a regular guy. I tell people this all the time. It's like, we can go into my journey of doing the camera work and the clients that I've worked with and stuff like that. And I've worked with large names, small names, it doesn't matter. It's been amazing. It's at the end of the day, I try to explain to people, it's like I could have somebody with the largest following in the world sit down next to me, talk to me on my podcast, shoot content with them, hang out in a foreign country. At the end of the day, I'm just a regular ass dude.
Exactly.
That is it. I always bring myself back down to ground zero of just I'm a regular dude just doing my thing. I never thought that my camera would bring me places. I never thought that I'd be doing what I was by doing. I thought I was going to be the corporate kid. I thought I was going to have 9 to 5.
Starting from Apple.
I wanted to go work for corporate Apple.
You built up the neck.
I wanted to be a lawyer for a little while when I went to Nassau Community College. Maybe become a lawyer. I always had this vision of the family in California, beautiful front yard, kids playing in it, come home from work 5, 6 o'clock, shit like that. And how different life is once you get to this 34-year-old self, where I've had a lot of successes, I've had a lot of losses, but at the end of the day, it's like life hasn't really panned out, not negatively, not positively. It just hasn't panned out the way that I envisioned it when I was younger, and that's okay. The reason I bring Kenji up is because there's nothing, and you have Tony. There's nothing more
and even
simple.
Buddy, you remember Buddy,
yes.
right? He just got, last weekend, my father called me and he has heart failure or something. He's 15 years old or 14 years old. And it's just
amazing life, 15.
Cut you off. It's amazing how 15 years old, but how fast it happens.
Remember when he was sleeping on my stomach at your house?
I know. My father's so attached to him, so it's sad to watch things like that happen in life.
It's horrible to watch, and it's horrible to go through. And I cry daily still with Kenji, and it rips me apart. And I touch his urn, and I'm just I'm overwhelmed with emotions every time. But the reason I bring Kenji up is because dogs are amazing because they bring out the best in us in a lot of ways, and they also teach us lessons. Whether we watch those lessons and actively practice those lessons is another thing. The main lesson that dogs teach us, and animals as a whole, but mainly dogs, is to live in the moment. And they're always just happy being with you. They're not looking forward to the hike that you guys are going to do on Saturday. They don't know.
You never realize that if you think about it, that who knows what they're thinking.
They're just down to ride.
You're the only person that they have probably in their mind, so.
They're just down to ride. They just want to be with you. They want to do things with you. That's why when you open the door, and it feels like it's been years since they saw you. You could have left for 5 minutes. They're like, oh my God, he's back.
I know.
I've been waiting so long for you.
You make
You're
me
like,
feel bad. I got to drive home and get Tony right now.
I know. You're like, bro, I just got the key. I just got the mail outside. So, we take for granted that part of owning a dog. And unfortunately, when they're gone, you start to realize that a little bit more.
What you should have done more, or how many.
I can't park in the back of my apartment anymore because when I used to park back there, I'd see his face in the window. I can't do it anymore. It rips me apart. So I park on the other side of the lot.
I'm the same way though. I get emotional to things that some people I feel like try to put a mask on for in life, and you have to realize that unfortunately those are the things that are going to happen in life, and we all deal with them in our own way. Tony, my dog, he's 5 now. I bought him right before I had my daughter, and I think every day, like when I get home after a long work day, and I try to be with him as much as I can and bring him to work, and at least because I want to. I enjoy it too. I enjoy having him around.
And you have the luxury of owning your own business where you can bring him.
When I do get home after those 10, 11, 12, 13-hour days sometimes, and sometimes I'll go in between to walk him or whatever it is, but like you said, it's just no other feeling. There's no negativity towards you. There could be anything, and that dog is there just to brighten up your mood, or they're a best friend. That's what they are.
They just want to see you. They're just excited. And when you open that door the first time and they're not there anymore, it's rough.
Yeah, no.
It's really rough.
I'm sure.
But to bring it, like I said, to bring it up on a high note, not a down. It's just they teach you to live in the moment, and that's truthfully what I've tried to get better at. Like as I've become starting. Let's back up a little bit. When I started working, I did a lot of retail.
Yep.
I did a lot of sales. And then I moved from that into B2B and then B2C sales for a couple of different companies, home audio, video, copier sales, like all this different stuff. But during all of that in the 2017, 2018 time period, I bought a camera because I wanted to talk about my fitness journey. So I was 270 pounds pre-diabetic in high school.
That's what I wanted to talk about too. I know.
Yeah. So
that's kind of when I remember that. I was a freshman and you were in my sister's grade I think you guys were seniors at the time, and
I think your sister's a year or two younger than me.
But you were different. It was just amazing to see somebody
very different.
Transform into what you transformed into just from a fitness perspective. It's some people just can't make that transition. You put a lot of work in.
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard all around.
It's not just the physical work.
You have to evolve yourself as a whole.
Correct.
And I've been through a lot of different evolutions. I've been through a lot of different stages of life. I've been through the fitness stage. I've been through the jiu-jitsu stage. I've been through the entrepreneur owner stage. I've been through the, having to constantly adapt to your surroundings to continually level up. And it's a challenge. And it's things, like you said, a lot of people struggle with that. Is it easy? Like this morning, I
don't want to get up.
Bro, I got to the gym at 6:15 this morning. Did I really want to get out of bed? Of
course not.
No, but guess what? The alarm was set for 6. I woke up at 5:30, pretty much wide awake. I knew if I turned over and went back to sleep, there was no way I was getting up for the gym. So I just got up at 5:30 instead of 6. I got up a half hour early, got my shit together, and I went to the gym. Had a great workout. So now that workout's done, and if I want to do jiu-jitsu tonight, I can. We have to consistently choose sometimes. It's going to sound so cliche as I wear a Cameron Hanes Keep Hammering hoodie. It's really going to sound cliche, but you really do have to choose to do the hard shit sometimes, because the hard shit is what makes the other hard shit that you're going to have to deal with in life a little easier.
Yeah, it's true.
Losing family members, losing pets, it sucks in the moment and it rips you apart. But it'll make you just a little bit stronger for more stuff that's going to come down the line. And that's really all life is. Life is just a challenge, and it's just continually hardening your scales as you progress through.
Yeah.
It's experiences, it's learning from things, it's changing, it's, I don't want to do business with that person anymore because of XYZ. I don't like this type of food because I had massive diarrhea. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all learning experience. So you have to take these things in stride, and everybody's experience is different in life. Someone's podcast could get 5 million views right out the gate and be a grand slam success. Maybe it doesn't last long. Maybe another guy's takes 10 years to finally get off the ground. And then for the next 30, this guy is flourishing and out of control successful. Where the other guy looked like he had that home run right out the gate,
Yeah.
but the other guy just dug his heels in and continued. We have to be happy with our journey, and it's something that I'm constantly trying to remind myself of. There's enough success for everybody in the world. Money is infinite for everybody. It really is.
That's the truth.
You can extrapolate it and make it in so many ways you don't even understand. And there's more ways than I can even comprehend to make money too. So it's me still trying to understand that portion of the journey as well. So we kind of backtracking. This is exactly how my podcast goes. I'm just like all over the place. But backtracking back to like the weight and stuff like that. Being 270 and having to lose all that weight, it taught me a lot about myself. I went from 270 to 190 in one summer.
Yes.
That was from 10th grade to 11th grade. Truthfully, it's because I had double gym class summer school. I used to cut and just play handball instead.
I remember.
So
Handball days.
yeah,
man.
I had double gym class summer school. So walking the track, and then I was doing keto before.
Good thing you cut class. It was good for your health.
Exactly, it was good for my health. See, and think about that too. Every experience that we've ever had has led us to sitting across from the table right now.
Unbelievable.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Every step that we've taken, both personal life, professionally, everything.
Of course.
If we took a step in one opposite direction, we might not be sitting here talking to each other.
never know.
If you didn't move in with your dad, we might not have never known each other.
It's unbelievable.
It's wild how the universe and things work. So I dropped the weight down to 190. And then I started dating my long-term girlfriend at the time.
I remember.
It wasn't your sister. It was somebody else. Wasn't your sister.
I was comfortable bringing it up in the beginning.
No. It was cool. It was cool. It was Brianna and I were like a little like.
Of course.
It was like a high school.
how I met you, so it was okay.
3-month, 2-month relationship of what are we doing? Like I don't even know if I like you. I don't know yet, but cool. I guess this is great. You live next door. Great. I don't have to ask mom for a ride to your house. So I dropped the weight, started dating my long-term girlfriend, and we both went away to college after about 3.5 years. We both went away to different schools, and it just ended tragically, like horribly. Yeah. And that heartbreak made me start that next journey, which was getting on stage and competing.
Yeah.
And I dropped from 240, because I had went back up in weight over the 3 years that we were dating, 3.5 years. I went from 190 back up to 240 over 3.5 years. And then I went from 240 to 150 on stage. And it was great. I was driven by revenge. I was driven by heartbreak. I was driven by all the things that put men in the gym most of the time for the reasons that they do. I was driven by all of that. And then I did another show a year later, about 8 months later. And then after that, I kind of dabbled in off seasons and on and off just training and learning what I liked, what I didn't like in terms of bodybuilding. I never touched PEDs. And I wanted to stay natural just for me. It just kind of was my own journey and my own path. And there was a point where I just got tired of competing and I didn't want to do it anymore. But I still had all these relationships in the fitness industry between professional bodybuilders, between influencers that are coming up, supplement companies, the gym itself. So I wanted to create a YouTube channel to talk about the stuff that I do.
Yeah.
Training vlogs. I was a big Casey Neistat guy. I used to watch his vlogs all the time. And I wanted to just kind of bring a little bit more of a buzzword, cinematic flair, to that type of an industry before videos were really prominent.
You were one of the first. I just remember. I mean, no one was doing that stuff back then.
It was rare. It was like me, this
rare.
dude Lobo that was out in the West Coast. He used to shoot with Dana Lynn Bailey and all them. He was super talented. I used to watch his stuff. And talk about progressionary journey, it was very hard for me to accept the fact that he was very good at what he did, because I would think that complimenting somebody else took away from my success. Yeah. And it's something I constantly still work through. Not that I have a problem doing that now. Yeah. I'll say when another creative is doing an unbelievable job, I have no problem doing it. But you have to just remind yourself, doing that doesn't take anything away from you.
No,
not
at all.
So when we were early on, you almost feel like you have this like, he's not even in New York, but I just felt like I had to just like really put my name out there more than his. Like I was working with Flex Lewis, he was working with Dana Lynn Bailey. So I was just like, I always had to make sure that, we had this like unspoken rivalry, but he probably didn't even fucking realize. He didn't care.
Yeah, no.
He didn't even give a shit. Maybe he did. Maybe he's gonna message me if he, for some reason, sees this and he's like, yo, fuck you, I hated you too. But so he was really creative and he was doing a lot of cool stuff. And there was a lot of guys in the space that started to come in that were working with a lot of different athletes, and it was cool to watch. I created a workout video for my girlfriend at the time, ex now. I created a video for her at the gym, and then all the pros started asking me for videos. So we all started, like, I started working with the supplement company, I started working with all the athletes, the magazines, everything like that. And that's kind of how my business started. And it got me out of the sales grind that I was in. And that's where I took a much different turn than where I thought I would ever be. Now, how many years? I mean, we dealt with COVID, we dealt with all this shit. How many years is it now? I mean, it's like 7 years now into this. And I'm at the point where you're either going to be the solopreneur or you're going to start building a team out. And that's really the decision that a lot of guys have to make. I talk to a lot of creatives that are like early on in the field. And when I talk to them and they go, well, you must have so many clients and this and that. And I go, yeah, I do, but I don't. I'm at the point where I want to make more money working less. And it's not because I don't want to work. It's because I want to maximize the time that I'm spending.
Yeah, delegate,
because living in the moment,
right.
I don't want to be behind my computer all day.
Yep.
I don't want to be behind a camera all day. I want to make cool shit. I really do. But if that's going to take away from me enjoying life, as opposed to just like having to edit all night, all day, like I did when I first started.
Yep.
And that's an okay path when you're really trying to make your name. And it's still an okay path if that's what you want to do 7, 8, 10, 20 years into the game.
It's like in my business, that's how I feel. Like, do I want to sit there and input
it's gonna grind
applications all day, or
it's
do I
gonna
want
grind you down,
What's
bro.
the next step to scaling?
It's going to grind you
it
down.
Grind you down.
You get exhausted.
Just mentally, sometimes when
You
you
don't wanna
feel like
miss
you're
out
doing
on-
the same things, or
You don't want to miss out on your daughter's
Exactly.
life. And dude, it's going to go by like that. How old is she now? 5?
yeah, she'll be 5 in May.
5, bro.
And that's one of the reasons I'm so appreciative of this industry as well, because just like, your mother, you know best, like if you have to forget being successful or not monetarily, we all go through phases in business where business is great, then things change
Ebbs
and
and
it
flows.
becomes challenging or whatever it is. Exactly. But the flexibility of having, the opportunity to, work from home or work from a different location or run out during the day because you don't need to be in one location. I'm so grateful for that in our industry. So, just like in my business, like you were saying, for 7, 8 years, I sat there and I did not the same thing, because every loan is a different situation and everybody's situation in general is a different situation. But I felt like for so long I was doing the same thing on a daily basis, whether it was reaching out to the people, via the phone or putting in the applications or whatever systems and processes I had in place for that amount of time, which I don't regret because I needed those to build my foundation. But you get to a certain point where some of us think, at least, that I want to get to the next level, and not work less, like you said, but be able to have that flexibility and that freedom to do more of what you want to do. Life's not just about going to work every day to make the most amount of money, because there's so many people we know in life that have all that, but they seem like they're lacking in so many other areas. So
I'll give you an example.
I'm not a
of
big
that.
balance guy, because I'm not. I feel like when you're in your 20s and 30s and even 40s, or forget the age, when you're at a point where you haven't got to that point yet, I'm not the biggest, believe in balance and, make sure you go home at this time every night. But, you have to try to find some sort of a happy medium when it comes to working as much as we do and trying to enjoy life. You have to.
Yeah. I'll give you an example of something I experienced when I was selling home theater systems in the Hamptons. I'll give you that, but I want to rewind for 2 seconds, because I think that there's a lot of points that have been made already where people are starting to wake up to some extent, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
And after that downtime that the whole world had. When I talk to these people, creatives, entrepreneurs, you tell them something like that, where I want to make more money doing less, and they look at that as, well, you're lazy.
Yeah.
Well, no. I believe that grind culture has really caused a lot of premature deaths, a lot of divorces, and a lot of really unhappy fucking human beings.
Yeah. Unhappy human beings, I feel like.
Constantly looking to get the next deal, get the next thing. It wears you down.
It's true.
There are retainer clients that I thought I'd be with forever, and it just didn't happen. And that's okay. Things ebbs and flows. Sometimes you have a ton of clients. Sometimes you don't really have that many clients. But everything always works out.
Exactly.
The universe always delivers. Whatever you're supposed to be doing, it shows you the path and it does it. I'll give you the example of the Hamptons, but one of the other things that I wanted to say just in general is if there's somebody that says that me saying that or somebody else saying that they want to make more money while having to work less, if they say that that's lazy, if they were given that deal, do you think that they would not take it?
Of course.
So if you can maybe make the same amount of money that all the bills are covered, you're advancing your career, you're able to raise your prices year over year, steadily, not like an asshole.
Of course.
And like jack it up 500%, but like, raise your prices to adapt to rents and times and whatnot, but you're not a slave to the process and you're able to go on vacations here and there and be able to go on holidays with your family and really enjoy being present as a father, as a friend to other people. One of the things that I love doing is Magic the Gathering, the card game. I love playing Magic. Everybody that has a little bit of nerdy tendencies in them, they've never tried playing, they're hooked. I don't, unless you're ready to spend a lot of money on cardboard, I don't recommend it. But one of the main things that I love about Magic is the ability for me and a group of guys to get together, basically, for the most part, be disconnected from our phones and play a tangible game in person.
Yep.
It could be, your game could be cards, like blackjack or poker or whatnot with friends. But turning that digital device off for a little while, or just setting it aside, not turning it off and maybe looking up a couple things, whatnot, but not being completely consumed by social media, text messages, notifications, dings, what's my portfolio doing, what's my bank account at, what's the Ring camera saying, oh, I got the Amazon order gets delivered tomorrow. Bro, it's too much. It's too much in your brain.
Yep.
So being able to disconnect, have something physical in front of you that you can play with friends, laugh, talk shit, hang out. That is one of the highlights of my week when I get to play that every Sunday with my buddies, or most Sundays. And unless you really feel that disconnect but that connection come back with people, otherwise, I have a great PC. I could play these games.
Listen, even us playing handball. Like,
that's what I'm saying. I could play these games online, but it's different when you're in person.
The one thing I've always did, and sometimes people knock you for this in business or whatever it is, no matter what's going on in my life, whether it's, success personally and in business and financially and everything's great, everybody's healthy, everything's aligned, or it's the other way, things are going in a more challenging direction, or right now it's tougher, or whatever it is, I'll always find time to do the things you want to do.
You have to.
And that's not saying it costs more money or whatever it is, but whether it's, like you said, with your friends on the weekends, doing something
play
together
some cards,
in person,
go
or
play paintball,
going to paintball or play handball or whatever it is.
In-person hangouts. We got to stop this digital shit.
For me, I like shooting down to Florida because my mother's down there. Whatever it is.
Once again, you're experiencing things real time. You're not just like, your veg out isn't just like sitting on the phone and scrolling.
I'll do my own landscaping and gardening, and
important.
That's the old school part of me. A lot of people don't have that nowadays. They're stuck to that phone, and as much as my whole business and my life is digital, I feel like, or on the phone, on the internet, you have to find that time, whether it's on the golf course or whatever it is, to get away from that. And that's, it's sad to see a lot of this generation, they only see the positive things. And we've talked about this, not me and you, but I've had so many conversations about how it has to be tough for most people who don't have thick skin, that see the whole world, everything's positive, everybody's looks so successful, everybody's on vacation 3 times a month, everybody's doing all the things that you think you want to, or everybody's doing all the things that you want to do, but maybe you don't have the ability to do so. It's got to be tough. That's the one thing about social media, that's why you have to get away sometimes. I'm not personally like that. When I see like something online or whatever it is, like I'm a good gauger, and I feel like other people can speak for themselves. I'm a good gauger of understanding, like when something's, not that I care, but like fabricated, or
you're in the minority though.
I'm just like,
you're in the minority though.
Why do you have to do that or post that or whatever it is?
But you're in the minority though. You're not the mass.
The authenticity of like this conversation, like you speaking about things personally, me speaking about things I never would speak about publicly, but I've had conversations with people here about, there's no reason to hide who you are as a person. I've made a ton of mistakes in my life. People say you'd have no regrets. I have some regrets. I have things I wish I never did. That's just how life is. And if you say you're not that person, you know, I don't have an explanation for that, but there's obviously things I've done in my life that I learned from, and there's things that I still do that I wish I did better. And, you know, as we get older, I'm sure with experience, you'll learn to, you know, make better decisions, but you can't change anything, number one. But number two, to go back to what I was saying, it's just sad to see, like, that's the one thing about social media and about this whole thing. That's why I try to be as authentic as I can in conversation with, you know, somebody like you or anybody else, you know, to talk about things that are really going on, as opposed to like, I'm crushing it in life, everything is the best always. I'm happy. I'm genuinely happy as a person. You know, I wish business was a little easier sometimes, or we made more money, or
Call it a grind for a reason, right?
yeah, it's sad to not be around my daughter 7 days a week. You know, those are things that just come with being a good human being, I feel like, you know, but we can't control what's happening. We just have to make the best of it. You know, that's my whole point. So it's just sad to see, like, that's the one thing about the social media, to go back to that again. You know, people always are looking at, like, this person's doing so well, or, you know, this is what I want, or you just have to realize that life's not that way. Going back to our parents and our grandparents, we didn't have, like, the computers and the social media really growing up until our teenage years. And I remember how life was, you know, because growing up, you know, I remember the older people around us used to say, you know, your generation's so fucked up and it's you guys. And looking back now, like, we're not the fucked up generation.
No.
There's actually a lot of us that have a great head on their shoulders, that have the old morals and values that our parents and our grandparents and our family had, you know, and still have. Whereas, you know, not to knock this generation, it's just sad to see a lot of the stuff that goes on. So, you know, as a good human being, I want to be that person that tries to guide, you know, like the new employees that come to work for us, and, you know, anybody in life that doesn't, like, understand, you know, certain things. You know, I want to be there to help, you know, let them know that, yeah, I did this just like our parents did. You know, here's my advice, and whatever it is, you don't have to take it, but, you know, we went through these things, and it's crazy to say that now. I feel like the one thing people always say is, until you have a kid, you don't realize, well, I have a daughter, you know, so there's not much more in life to experience besides, you know, losing family and losing an animal or losing things in life that you can't control, you know, but we just have to make the best of everything, I feel like, every day. And that's,
enjoy every
that's what
moment.
I've focused on the last couple of years, not to look at what everybody else is worried about and doing and what they have going on, as much as I care and I want to be there for people, but you have to stay in your own lane and realize that as much as your close circle and your family and people may want the best for you, you know, you have to focus on you, because you could have the most money, like we said before, and be miserable, or it could be something else, you know, and you have to just wake up every single day, do the personal development, you know, be the best version of yourself, you know, and genuinely understand, like, all right, this is why I wake up every day and do this, you know, and not just, you know, have no purpose. I feel like a lot of people show up to a job, they stay in a relationship, they stay in a situation that they don't want to be in. And that's another hard part about life, is making a decision that you might not think today makes sense, but you know, like, in the back of your mind, like, this is what I have to do. And that's another hard part about life and business and personally, and, you know, getting into the gym, you know, it's hard to make those choices sometimes, but
There's a very distinct word that comes to mind when people talk about.
and I
stuff
ramble
like that.
too. We start talking
No,
about
you're
a million
good. You're
things.
good, bro. Come on, man. There's a very distinct word that comes to mind when thinking about stuff like that. People that stay in relationships that they shouldn't be in. People that stay at jobs that
I'm seeing it more now than ever, I
aren't
feel like, you know.
aren't good for them in the long run. People just continually eating the foods that sabotage them. It's called familiarity.
Yeah.
That's the word that comes to mind. And it's easier to do these things and
I'll
stay
do it
in the
Monday.
rhythm.
I'll do it tomorrow.
It
I'll
starts
change
Monday.
tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll do
change
this. I'll do
tomorrow.
that. I'll
stop smoking weed on Monday. I'll stop doing this on Tuesday.
I got a little bit of ice cream left in the freezer. I might as well eat it tonight, and then I'll
that's what
start
happens.
tomorrow,
Yep.
as opposed to just tossing the rest of the ice cream.
Right.
Or,
I'll go through that. I'll go through my whole cabinet sometimes, like every couple of weeks, and I'll throw everything in the garbage in the house, because
Smells so fresh.
yeah, like, what are you going to do? I admit that I can't control certain things when it's 12 o'clock at night.
Dean's garbage guy's looking. He's like, "Why do you throw the paprika out again?" He's like,
Brand new box
bro.
of
It's
cereal.
seasoning, son. You know, it's not fucking.
Yeah, it's just because sometimes in order to control urges, my one bad thing is, like, late at night that I go through the whole cabinet, or I'll eat 7 bowls of cereal or 10 packets of oatmeal. My friend Jared makes fun of me, like, how do you have 6 packets or 7 packets of oatmeal?
It's 30 grams of carbs a packet.
Exactly. If you do the math.
My boy bulking.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
bulking.
in order to control some of those urges, like,
Yeah,
most people can't make that decision.
Well,
I
no,
get
you-
everything, get it away from me, and then like that helps me.
You just have to take the equation
Shouldn't have to
yourself.
do that, but-
You have to take things or yourself out of the equation.
Correct.
I have a lot of friends that have been in some really bad relationships, like really bad relationships. Gotta get away. Gotta get away. I tell them all, get out, stop. Are we allowed to curse on this podcast?
Of course.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
It's hard to be that friend too, because
Oh well, no,
you know
yeah,
how it goes a lot
but
of
they
the time.
don't come to me unless they know that I'm going to be completely real with
You're
them.
right. Yeah, blunt.
Get the fuck out
Yeah.
and stop messing around. This is what's going to happen. X, Y, Z. I've had a certain friend who will go unnamed. You know this friend who has had numerous issues with his ex. And when he first moved in with her, I said, "This is not it." Didn't listen to me. When he had his first kid with her, I said, "This is not it." Didn't listen to me. Second kid with her, "This is not it." Didn't listen to me. And then finally, we didn't speak for 2 years, and he hit me up, and things were really bad over there, like legally bad.
It's sad.
And so now he was ready to learn the lesson. So backtracking to what you were talking about before with like
People have a hard time being alone, man.
lessons and whatnot. People do have a hard time being alone. I've been alone most of my life. I'm
alone.
okay with being alone.
So am I.
But I'm also an only child, so I was used to it when I was younger. It was just me and Karen. I grew up, my mom. I
remember,
grew up in her office. Literally. My family jokes that I can fall asleep on any floor. Bro, I'll lay on your floor, I'll fall right asleep.
I'm the same way, bro.
I swear to God, it's because I grew up in my mom's office and I would just sleep in front of her desk for hours. I would just sleep on that's why I'm a stomach sleeper. I'd tuck my arms, I'd sleep on my stomach, or I'd sleep on my back and put something over my face so this way the lights in her office weren't. And it's not a negative thing. My mom had to get it done.
It's amazing to
If
see
my
that.
grandparents couldn't watch me, my mom had to get work done. No matter what, the bills were paid. Mom is a hustler, always has been. But that's also been one of her biggest Achilles heels, is that she's hustled too much and she's been the solopreneur her whole life versus building a team out and doing things with multiple people. So that's always been the crux in her game. And that's okay.
Yeah,
that's
some
the
people
lesson
wanna
that
do
she
it that
needed to
way,
learn
yeah.
this whole time.
Of course.
We go back to lessons. My biggest lesson has always been, up until recently, you have to stop doing business on good faith. I would constantly worry about the price later. I would constantly be like, we'll figure it out later. Let's just get this content going. Not because I didn't want to get paid, not because I just wanted to just start I'm taking care of them. I'm going to do 110% on this project. I know they're going to return it to me. And not that I thought they were going to pay me more for it. I just thought that they would understand that it was fair what I was doing, but vice versa. It has led to a lot of heartaches with money over my years as an entrepreneur.
We've had this conversation so many times. Even
That is a
Zach and I, like when people do things like
that is a lesson
in
that
this
the
industry.
universe continually kicks me in the dick with.
Yeah.
Until it was like, bro, what? How many more times are you going to do this?
And I'm like that too sometimes. Like you go into something with the right intention. I'm going to do the right thing by this client or person. You provide that service, and then like there's like a disconnect at the end. And I've myself learned that no matter what it is, you know, I have to, in the beginning, like set the clear expectations. And unfortunately,
expectations are humongous for yourself, for the clients.
Yeah.
My clients, I constantly setting expectations is the number one thing in business you have to do.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, the good old saying, it's just business. It is just business. Just because now that I learned this last lesson the last couple of months, that was the last time.
Yeah.
That was, there's a point where it's just too much.
you draw the line.
And you just go, that was it. That's all I needed to hear and do and see and experience. And now going forward, I can't do this shit anymore because the lesson has truly been dug into the sub-layer of my brain now, where I could love you, we could do business together. We got to take care of this stuff up front.
Yeah.
It's nothing against you. It's nothing personal. It literally is just business.
I say the same thing for my clients sometimes. And when I say I don't love doing business with family and friends, it's not because I don't love helping them. I want to help them. I want to be the first person to help them. But that's just like an old line in the book.
Difficult.
Like, it's difficult because a product comes with a cost. A service normally comes with a cost. people can't work for free. As much as I wish I could work for free, it just doesn't work that way, whether you're at a company or, you have business expenses or whatever the case may be. So I feel like a lot of the time when you do business with somebody who expects something, like if I show up to a friend's restaurant, I don't walk in and say, hey, can I have a discount? They might do that because they felt like they wanted to do the right thing.
And then you overtip the staff.
And I appreciate, correct.
And then you overtip the staff.
but
It's not that you feel like you have to make up for it. You just didn't want any favors or handouts.
negotiating the deal up front, is different. Like in a business relationship, that's not like walking into your friend's restaurant and expecting the bill to be comped because you know them. I think you're a piece of garbage if you walk around that way, because that's a business. Just like if somebody was doing a mortgage with me, of course I'm going to do my best to get the fees down that I would, normally have on there or whatever it is, but with the right intention, which you should know that person has up front, you shouldn't start the relationship or that transaction by expecting something from somebody. I feel like there's so many people nowadays that they show up to somebody's restaurant or they show up to somebody's business or they do business with somebody and they expect them to just do it for nothing. And that's not like having a conversation in the beginning and saying, hey, like, I'm doing this right now and maybe we could do this differently. That's how you should communicate, up front. But I feel like you said in the beginning, of this point, when you work with somebody sometimes and you're not transparent in the beginning, or not even the word transparent maybe, but you're not on the same page in the beginning, things go south. And I've been through that so many times.
Goes for me too.
With the right intentions, like doing work on these houses that we'll do construction to. I always tell the contract, just do this, and this. Sometimes I'll trust that person understands that we're on the same page. I'm the guy that pays in full because I don't want to, I just want the job to go smoothly.
You don't want something to be
But then at the
bottlenecked.
end, like all of a sudden, like, well, this wasn't in the price, or this wasn't in the price, and this wasn't in the price. And, it's not to like have an ego competition, but like sometimes like when you're right. That's just like life sometimes. I'm not always right, but like sometimes when like you spoke about something or, you had a conversation about something and like something changes, you can't always be crazy. You can't always be wrong. So that would start to happen with me. Like on certain projects, I would trust somebody, to do something that we agreed upon. And like sometimes I'll make a mistake, obviously, but you realize how fast that, and it just goes back to what you said, you have to, in the beginning, and it's unfortunate that it's just business, but you have to put it in writing or, the handshake for most people doesn't work anymore.
No.
You can trust me on a handshake. I'll lose we'll shut the whole company down to do the right thing by somebody, but people just aren't built that way like, they used to be. And there's some people that are like that, which those are the people that we surround ourselves with, whether you see each other every day or we could see each other every couple of years. And like, when you have a connection with somebody that has the same morals and values and integrity and is just a good person, you just kind of like, it's like you never took a day off, so to go back to the point I was making, Cuzzy, right over there. I don't know.
He's just hanging out.
Cut this little part
He's
out.
hanging out. No, don't cut it out. Leave it in there. Leave it raw. Pause.
I forgot what I was talking about now.
I think one of the gold standard lines that Karen has
You
taught
got to
me.
separate the two, and I'm very good at that in life. You have to separate business because you can't trust everybody, unfortunately, and
Can't
it's
trust
sad.
everybody.
It's sad.
One of the gold standards that Karen has taught me over the years was the unfortunate reality is that we expect everybody to think and operate the way that
you.
we do.
Correct.
And that is a huge mistake that we make on a
Put
constant
your heart on your
basis.
sleeve. People told me that my whole, like, not whole life, but like when I got into the mortgage industry and I first got licensed, it was 2017 and 18. And right away, like going back to like the beginning of our conversation, like I never knew what path I would go down. I barely graduated high school. I wasn't not smart. I just didn't
Just
want to go
weren't
to
interested.
class.
You
Yeah, I
weren't
wasn't
interested.
interested. Tried the college thing because I picked up golf.
He's still fucked up, and I'll tell him he should have been a pro golfer.
Went to Nassau for
He's like, why are you bringing this
it's
up?
great. Yeah,
Still
went to Nat.
my mom and I and my grandfather used to say all the time.
And I wasn't even that good back then. Like if you ask the kids in high school, they're like, "Oh, he was all right." But like that period from like when I graduated high school to like that first year or two of Nassau, I put the time in. Like I had nothing else going on.
Probably could have been exceptional.
Yeah, but it's like crazy because like up here in New York, I might be able to beat everybody, but then you go down south, there's 10,000 people like me that are playing 7 days a week.
I get it.
Some of them do or don't have the financial backing that you really need to get to that.
Yeah,
next level,
it's challenging.
which is a tremendous amount of money. And Yeah, it's something that always sits in the back of my mind. Luckily, in life, golf
Not too old, bro.
you could do later in life. You know, with golf. Golf's cool.
So we still have an opportunity to get me into the Ryder Cup.
Golf has led me to so many cool and unique opportunities with meeting people and getting closer with people that I'm already have a relationship with. You know, golf's done a great thing for me. But going back to the whole college thing, I went to Nassau, you know, for whatever it was, a year or two. You know, the first year was fine. I got through the classes. You know, we did good. You know, it was actually a good golf program back then because I feel like Nassau was always the people that didn't love school, but they were great athletes. There was always a good athletic program there. And to make a long story short, which is one of my favorite lines, it got to the point where after like the second or third semester, you know, my attendance wasn't okay. And, you know, per the NCJAA or whatever that college association is, junior colleges, I wasn't allowed to be there anymore. So that was like a point in my life where, you know, I dropped out of college, and I forget how we got into this conversation, but I dropped out of college. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what path I wanted to go down. My father was in business with Keith at this point. You know, my father comes from a financial background, not the mortgage lending business. And when he got into the mortgage business in, I think, like 2000, and which I talk about this all the time, like 12 or 13, you know, he met somebody, Keith, who he became very close with, who's like my uncle and mentor from when I started. You know, they never wanted me to come around the business, the industry. You know, you say you grew up on the floors around the business. You know, I got to a point where I was like 18 and 19, and I was like, I want to be around that now. You know, I see these guys like doing like, this is kind of what I want to do, I think. And I had no idea until I dropped out of college. You know, I finally started to understand like what they did. You know, they were in the real estate world. I didn't know much about it. I just knew that it was like a phone sales business, and there was guys at the office making money. And my father finally gave me an opportunity to come around the industry and just like get on the phones and work. And I think the whole point, I forget what we were talking about that led to this.
That's how it goes.
Like
usually. It's okay.
You just never know, like fast forwarding 10, 15 years later now, like being in the industry, having my own, you know, business here, you know, having employees, you know, always looking for the next step and striving for the next best thing, you know, in my life and in business and for the people around me. You know, it's just crazy to see, you know, how life just pans out. You know what I'm saying? I never would have expected anything going back from the college to playing golf to dropping out of college to working at random restaurants to
all that stuff,
never being handed a handout.
All that stuff brought you to sitting across the table
to
having a conversation.
To, like you said, you know, you always think life's going to go a certain way. I never thought my life would not be the traditional way, like having a daughter, not being married, and you just have to make the best of every situation because it's a blessing. And there's people that take the easy way out, but I realized that probably, 18, 19, 20, that's not an option. You know, it's easy to do the wrong thing. You know, it's not challenging for a good person to do the right thing, but it's easy to do the wrong thing. You know, so that was not going to be an option, you know, in business and with having a daughter, you know, not being with her mother, which that's just part of life. You know, you have to make the best of every situation. And thank God she has a great mother and we have a great relationship and things are the best they could possibly be for that situation. Because if they weren't, that brings so many people to a bad place, I feel like. Yeah. But I won't let that happen.
Well, it brings a lot of stress to you. It brings a lot of stress to your daughter.
Sometimes there's one person that makes it challenging for the other party, but I feel like, you know, you make those decisions as people. You know, I would never have a child, you know, that doesn't really know what's going on, you know, to be in a situation that, you know, she shouldn't be in, you know, and that's an unhealthy situation. So luckily we were on the same page.
We both grew up in an unhealthy situation.
Yeah, so. You know, having divorced parents, you know, moving in with my father at 12, 13. Divorce. Yeah, it's just like, that's the shitty part of life that some people don't know how to handle, I feel like, as people growing up, as kids, and as they get into their adult lives. That bothers a lot of people. You know, I feel like I dealt with that good growing up. I mean, everybody deals with it differently, you know. My father was the same way, like, and my mother was always, you know, a great mother, and my father was the best dad he could possibly be in the world, you know, but when I moved in with my dad, it's just not easy. It just can't be easy for anybody.
It's not easy.
He was a single father
once again, life is not easy.
No, of course not.
With what seemed like monumental issues and tasks at that point in your life, you not only overcame, but
Yep.
looking back, microscopic.
Well, that taught me to be who I am today,
Yes.
because watching people go through situations and learning from it, understanding, what you should and shouldn't do, like not having a relationship, like not having a good relationship with my daughter and her mother is never going to happen. That's not even an option, so this is why I do what I do every day. I come to work every day to try to give my daughter and my family the best life we could possibly have, because Dana White says it best. He uses money as a tool to have fun. Yeah. It's nice to have it. It's nice to work hard for it, but it's not everything, because like we said in the beginning, so many people have that, but they lack in so many other areas, but that's a lot. That's why I wake up every day and do this, to obviously provide a good life for my family and to live a good life myself and to help the people around us, do the same for themselves and their families. But you have to always take a step back and realize where you came from and be appreciative of the now. Like
enjoy the journey, man.
Yeah, and the journey, man.
Enjoy the journey,
Yep.
because if you don't enjoy the journey, then all you're going to remember is the start and the finish line.
When I was 18,
And the
19.
finish, guess what? I hate to say it, but the finish line is death. So it doesn't really, the finish
I wanted
line.
to be 21, then 25, then I feel like once I got to 25, I'm like, I want to go backwards now.
Yep.
That's like where it changed, where I'm like, I don't want to get older. My father's getting older, my mother's getting older, my grandparents are 85.
That's something that I've brought up before a couple of times on my own podcast.
I don't deal with that, I care about that stuff,
Well, it's difficult. So one of the things that I bring up with stuff like that is, unfortunately, while we're getting older, we forget that our parents are getting older as well.
Correct.
And we forget that they're slowing down, they're dealing with things that they didn't have to deal with 10, 20 years ago when we were younger and whatnot. And I think I believe and know that that is one of the reasons at some point in all of our lives, especially around this age, that grind and work hustle culture really starts to fade. And it's not that it fades because you don't want to make money and you don't want to do well in business or expand your business and continually get better in life year over year, but that from a corporate standpoint, that extra 1% annually that your business is doing 1% more, and it's the constant strive to keep making more money and doing more things and this and that, but then you turn around and your baby's 10.
Unbelievable.
And she's 15.
How fast it
and
happens.
she's 20, and you look and you go, what the fuck just happened? As opposed to enjoying every moment that happened while they're happening, as opposed to thinking about the next appointment, the next podcast, the next thing. Just enjoy the process. Like right now, let's say your podcast doesn't go anywhere for the next year.
Yep.
But year 2 from right now, you blow up 50,000 views an episode. Fuck. That's what I've been waiting for. But the entire time to get there, we forgot and didn't enjoy all the sit-downs that we had.
Correct.
Now you're worried about sponsors.
Now how do I get to that next level?
Exactly. How do I get to Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
How do I get to Spotify? $100 million deal. Bro, this fucking guy was podcasting in his basement with his boys, smoking weed and bullshitting.
Crazy.
He enjoyed the journey. I'm not saying there weren't bumps and shit in the road as he went, because there definitely was. But his first sponsor, do you know what his first sponsor was? The Fleshlight. That was his first sponsor. That was his first fucking sponsor. Up until that point, he never even thought about making money on the podcast. He was doing it for like 8 to 10 years before he started thinking about doing any money with the podcast. So I say all that to say, you have to really just stay in the now. You have to enjoy. But there is a point, like right around this time, where everybody gets that feeling where we want to not necessarily move back in time, because it is. I yearn for a lot of things when we were younger. Some of the dopamine hits that really hit, like playing Halo and getting excited for like things, or Christmas or Thanksgiving.
It's sad the thought.
The holidays don't feel the same
No.
because you know how quickly they go.
Yep.
And it's just a day, and a day goes by in a second, a blink of an eye. But we have a yearning for a slower lifestyle pace. And that's why you see a lot of New Yorkers, a lot of people from California, a lot of people from these high-intensity, fast-paced spaces and cities that move to the Midwest, to move down south, because they want a slower pace.
Slow it down.
They want to enjoy. They want to be able to go on their balcony or their deck in the morning, overlook green country, and be able to sip a coffee. What do we do now? I got to go to the meeting. I got to do this. I got to do that. And it's a constant run. And that fucks with your central nervous system.
Well, that's why I also, like I said before, I try to always take that time, no matter what's happening.
You have to.
You have to take that time to just slow down.
You got to take the downtime, bro. I mean, listen, I play games at night.
Shut your business down.
But it means that maybe you're selective with how many deals you take. Maybe I'm selective with how many retainers I allow myself to take every month. Because when I first started, I wanted as much as humanly possible so I can keep buying cameras and keep buying things and do it.
Provide the service. So
and
you're going to kill yourself over
exactly.
it.
If you're going to be sweating over every edit and it's going to be a strenuous process, it's not worth it in the long run. Like, yeah, for somebody that doesn't have money or somebody that doesn't have any clients, they're looking at and hearing this and they're going, what? But when you get to that point and you're burnt out and you're overworked and you're tired and you're missing out on your family, and it's not that you have to stop doing what you're doing for work. It's that you have to make a course correction and adjustment because that style of life isn't suiting you anymore. And that's okay, ebbs and flows. A lot of business, little bit of business. You have to take life's strides and waves as they come because nothing is forever. I was working with Monster Energy. Monster Energy was a fat client.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, bro.
Yeah.
That was a ridiculous contract for what it was. For the amount of content I had to produce, for the amount that they were paying me per month. I was with them for almost 3 years. Wow. It was fantastic. New leadership came in. They cut every external creator off. And in the blink of an eye, I was done.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I got lazy. I should have had 2 Monster Energies. Correct. I should have had 3 Monster Energies. So then when one inevitably dropped off, because nothing is forever, I had the opportunity to do something else. But once again, we go back to the universe always provides. You really have to believe it. Everything always works out. Even when things seem horrible, everything always works out. And I'll give one example of that, but I had another client that randomly just hit me up, and now they're my biggest client.
Yeah.
And although I'm doing more work than the Monster Energy thing, bro, it basically swapped itself in.
I've gone through that myself. I got complacent.
It's so crazy, dude, how that works out.
Yeah, like it's nice. Like I want 100 realtors that give me business or 100 financial planners that give me business, but I've always been the relationship person. Have a couple good relationships. If I don't go to dinner with you on a Wednesday night, we're probably not going to do loans together. You might throw me a bone once in a while, and I might give you an opportunity because I always try to give value to the people I'm in business with. But, if you don't have the relationship, I feel like, with people, and it's different in every business. Like you said, Monster Energy, that's a huge company. You might not always have a direct relationship with the person making that decision or whatever it is. But, like, the whole point of what I'm saying and what we're saying is you have to, I feel like, sometimes value each relationship and realize that if that does come to an end, like, what's next? And I became complacent in my business at times where I had a couple of, or 1 or 2 or 3 really good clients that changed my life, and then those things come to an end. Yep. And then you sit there like, what did I do? Like, how did I not understand like that this could have happened, and, do other things to avoid that? So that's just the tough part about business sometimes.
It's life lessons. It's business lessons. That's what it is.
That stuff.
It's just
a lot of us do.
It's the unfortunate part of growing and developing as a business person and as an entrepreneur.
You never think something's going to change in a negative way.
I'm living fat right now. Like, oh, everything's good, baby. And then all of a sudden, hey, we're not going to be continuing next month. And you go, oh, okay. So I should have been out here like actually networking continually and talk. Dude, there were mega contracts I gave up because I was interested. Nah. You're making fat stack over here. You just go, I don't really feel like doing that job.
Correct.
And it's not that you aren't hungry. You just, where's the time? Like, I'm getting paid X to do this. I'm going to get paid that to do that. I don't know. And you have to evaluate these things, and you're constantly putting things on the scale. What's worth it? What's worth the time? Clients come and go. Nothing is forever, unfortunately. You talk about having the universe giving you lessons and opportunities and clearing ways for you when you least expect it and need it. Sometimes it's not in the most opportune time in the moment when you look at it, but you look back and you go, that made sense.
Yeah.
Kenji passing was a big one for me because not a lot. Some people, a good amount of people know me, knew that he had epilepsy at 2.
Yeah.
So he formed epilepsy at 2. We didn't have him on medicine for the first 8 or 9 months because we didn't know if it was like actually idiopathic epilepsy. But once he had another seizure, we realized that it was full-blown epilepsy, and we put him on medicine. That was the first pill. That was twice a day, every 12 hours. Then, right before he passed, he was on 5 pills daily. 3 different medicines, 1 for his thyroid, 2 for the epilepsy, every 12 hours. Plus the raw food, plus his walking schedule. Plus, every time I had to travel for work, I had to have my mom watch him because I couldn't leave him. He was intact. He had, his bowls. For those that don't know what that's intact means. And we couldn't leave him with anybody like pet sitters or whatnot. Like,
And you're running a business. You got all these things. It's just
I got to worry about pill schedules. I got to worry about if he's going to be cool with the person, other dogs in the area. Like, he was always good with my mom. So
It's not what you expect when
that posed a challenge. It's not what anybody
you have a
expects.
dog.
And I tell people this before they get a dog now.
Yeah.
I'm very, very clear. I go, when the dog's tail stops wagging and there's problems and the dog needs to be put on medication for life and it's a young dog and it's sick, are you prepared to make that lifelong commitment that you promised when you picked the puppy up? Because the puppy stage is great. Oh my God, it's so cute and fun. And you're posting pictures. Once again, Instagram's the highlight reel of everyone's life. Everything's high and great and mighty and there's no wrong that can happen. But the second the puppy gets sick and it has hip dysplasia or a cancer or epilepsy or anything that's major that causes your normal routine of the dog needs food in the morning, 2 walks a day, dog needs food at night. Other than that, he's just hanging out and he's happy to be with me. Are you prepared to make that lifelong commitment, or are you going to be the type to drop the dog off for adoption because you can't handle it? Now, there is a part of me that understands it is a huge responsibility that nobody knows until they're in it.
I didn't realize.
To deal with that. So some people just truly can't handle it, and I'd rather the dog potentially get an opportunity at another home than be with somebody that
if they're
can't
gonna
care
treat
for
him,
it.
yeah, that's ridiculous.
As long as it's not the adverse of like it's a kill shelter and the dog's going to die. If you know what I'm saying? So we're talking extremes. I'm just giving a couple examples, but are you prepared for that? Now, my travel schedule was absolutely insane from September until just last month. If Kenji was still around, that would have been a really big. I probably wouldn't have been able to do all that.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't have been able to. So the universe opens pathways. Kenji was only 5.5. The universe opens pathways when things become a little bit too strenuous sometimes. And in the moment when he passed, even looking back, I feel I was robbed of time from him. And I miss him every single day, like I already said in the beginning.
Of course.
I miss him every single day. But to say that there wasn't to not have to worry about a sick dog anymore, because my whole life was keeping him as healthy as humanly possible, alive and comfortable, no matter what. When was the last seizure? Constantly in the back of your head if he was going to have an episode. It is a challenge.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So who's to say that the universe didn't just say, we don't want the dog to be to suffer anymore. We don't want you dealing with the stress and the craziness of all this anymore. This is his time now, as opposed to stretching this out for 12 years, 15 years. Because dogs can live with epilepsy. The epilepsy isn't what killed him. It was just a bladder stone. I'm going to go into it in detail on my show, but it was just a bladder stone that totally blocked him off. He had emergency surgery. He survived the surgery, totally fine. He just didn't recover over the weekend. Yeah. I picked him up on a Friday. I had to put him down Sunday. Wow. So who's to say that this wasn't the universe aligning things to be like, this is just the final push. Yeah. Sick dogs, sick things, this and that. And it's very difficult. Life is hard. Yeah. But once again, the hard things, having to make that decision to put him down, sitting there, going through it, losing monster energy, like all of these things. And I didn't lose it because I didn't do a good job. I lost it because of corporate decisions.
We all put those blames on ourselves.
Of course. So
things like
you
that
have to just take
naturally.
these lessons and you have to adapt, learn, and get hard from them. Pause. You have to harden up and pause. You have to harden up, and you really do have to have that like outside shell, because it does make it so when these decisions, our parents get older. I don't want to talk about it like that, but like our parents get older, we're gonna have to start dealing with that.
Yeah.
Those next line decisions are gonna be fucking.
And a lot of people don't want to think that way, but that's
rough.
The reality of.
No one makes it out.
Yeah.
No one makes it out without going through there.
We're promised 2 things, brother: life and death. We know that. So
no one gets out. So you have to you have to understand that the challenges that you're going to face, the things that you're going to go through have made you a better father,
Yep.
have allowed you to be more knowledgeable and more, what's the word I'm looking for? More intuitive in things that you probably couldn't see 10 to 20 years prior.
I'll forget it, of course.
And it sounds stupid because some people that are older than us will go, well, yeah, duh. But the younger generation,
Some people don't change.
they don't understand. Well, they don't change. Well, they don't adapt well. That's the
I
problem.
believe people can change, actually.
They can,
To a certain
yes and
to a
no.
certain extent.
I think everybody leans back into their old ways in some way, some manner of fashion. However, they definitely do evolve in other ways.
Evolve in other ways, exactly. Take that focus that might have been on something negative and now turn that into a positive. And go to the gym. Somebody that was doing drugs might get into fitness now, or get into a hobby or whatever. Somebody that went through a bad financial time, might do something
Turn it around.
Yeah, turn it around. So it's all good stuff, man. I know we could sit here for hours and.
How long have we been going? I don't even know how long
I
we've
don't
been
even
going.
know. Like an hour. Yeah, like
Hour
an
10. Look at that.
Yeah.
We'll do another one.
Where do you see us, 5 years from now? Where do you? I know you said in the beginning, and I feel the same way. Like, you never know, and I never knew like my life would pan out this way. And I'm grateful every day, because not only can you not control that to a certain extent, because we can, I feel like, with the stuff we do every day, but I never pictured any of this stuff. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything. So, what do you see for the future?
Oh, man.
When are the little Nicks coming?
Oh, God. I got to get a text back first before I can have kids. You know what? I couldn't even give you an answer. And I don't think that's negative. I just think.
Living in the moment, like
I
you
just
said.
think there's so many potential routes that I can go in the next 6 months.
Well, that's a good thing.
So it's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
It's a scary thing. It's a good thing. However.
Imagine having no options. Imagine having that mindset.
Yeah.
People think that to themselves sometimes.
I could keep
nothing.
I could keep freelancing with my. Let's speak professional.
Because I feel the same way. Like, what's the next step? How do we build this? How do we make it more profitable? How do we do?
I could keep freelancing. I could do creative director work. I could consult with companies.
Yeah.
Maybe I start my podcast back up and things blow up, or they don't, and I don't ever do it again. Like, I'm into the jujitsu. So
I see you beating people up a couple times a week.
every now and then.
Sarah, you go to Sarah's?
I go to Sarah's, yeah. Every now and then. Yeah. Every now and then. I'm focusing back on getting into the gym to get some of that strength training back again. I want to do the tactical games, which is basically CrossFit competitions with rifle and pistol shooting.
Awesome.
Mixed in there. So I'm very, very adamant about getting into that for next year. So I have to start running again and getting back into that type of shape. You know what? I don't know. I think my biggest hope is that Nick from 5 years from now can look back at this and just be happy with the choices that we made to get to 5 years from now.
Yep.
And I know that there's going to be bumps in the road. I know there's going to be loss. I know there's going to be a lot of things to deal with.
Yeah.
I know none of it is enough to knock me off my game fully where I can't come back from anything, because I have come back from pretty bad and dark spots. So I think my biggest concern is that I can just continue to be an asset to others around me in the creative space, professionally, personally, whatever it might be, continuing my fitness journey, just really trying to be present and happy and enjoy life.
Yeah.
Because I'm 34 now. Bro, I can't believe I'm already 34.
I'll be 32. So unbelievable how fast it happens.
Insane, dude. It's absolutely insane.
I was probably, 15 when I met you, probably.
Dude, it's insane.
12, 13, 14, 15. And it's
Bro,
crazy.
it just goes by so
fast.
quick. So I want to really just practice that, being happy, being present, not limiting myself. I've never really limited myself because I've always made good money.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So when I say limit myself, I mean, if there's something that I want, to just get it, because life is short. And I beat myself up for a few before I got the RS3, and then I bought my RS3, and every day I walk away from it, I look back and I'm smiling and I'm happy. And once again, it's like the nut that you have to use to get a more expensive car or a house or whatnot. You're just like, in the moment, you're like, oh, it's a little bit more money than I'm spending right now, but the universe gives you more clients.
Is that going to make a difference of where my life's supposed to be in 5 years?
It's just cool how that works out, how it's like, you just figure it out.
Always.
You make more money or you do something different, but it's like in that moment, the amount of overhead that I have now for business and personal, between rent and car and stuff like that.
If you look back 10 years ago.
I couldn't fathom. Bro, my car note for $300 a month for the Audi, $200, $300 a month.
You thought that
was like,
yeah, that's how I felt. I remember.
this is insane. How do people afford rent? And now I'm looking and I'm just like, I look back at that, I'm like, damn, $250 a month for that car. That wasn't that bad.
Unbelievable.
So without trying to ramble, I think that my biggest priority is to just continue learning more about life, being a student, having good relationships and connections with people, expanding the network, and getting back to a place in my business, whether that's with my company freelancing, other companies, whatever it might be, consulting, getting back to a place of enjoying shooting again. And it's not that I don't enjoy shooting. A lot of creatives can attest to this, and maybe he can shake his head yes or no behind the camera because he does this on a daily basis. A lot of creatives get into the position of, we got into this because we like making things and we have fun with the creative aspect of making videos, photos, whatnot. And unfortunately, when you own your own business, there becomes a point where the overhead, the profitability, the jobs, everything kind of not get in the way, but they spearhead the creative reason of why you got into this.
You're focused on doing everything else, making
So
sure
instead of
everything's
sitting there
going.
for a few days doing an edit because you really want to take your time and enjoy it and really, maybe I want to do this. Let me come back to it in a day or two. And you come back and you go, I hate that ending. Let me do this differently. I was able to do that when I first started. Now, this is my livelihood. It's not that I don't have that, but
gotta do
as
it
a
now.
solopreneur, you have to kind of expedite things to an extent because now with social media, it gets to the point where a client goes, bro, that last video was a banger. When can I expect the next one? And you go, oh, okay. Well, it's not that I'm not ready to make the next one. It's just that this took me a couple days to make, and I really took my time on this. That part, I want to get back to enjoying the creative spot of it. I'm selling a lot of my gear. I'm keeping my video kits more trimmed and streamlined versus what I used to do. I used to have gear, sparkly eyes, where I'd see the newest thing. Oh, I need a slider. I need this. I need that. You use it once, if at all. And it was like $1,000 that you could have just kept.
Yeah, of course.
So I want to get back to the simplicity of making things that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Taking photos just because I want to take a photo, not because I have to worry about what lens I have to take with me. Well, if I want a wide lens, I should bring that, or I should bring this. I want to just enjoy the process again because I did fall in love with this industry before it became a career path for me.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now, I would really like to fall in love in the next time span with why I started this journey and get back to the roots, the meat and potatoes, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense because I feel, to kind of end this up, just like even in my business, just because you have a passion, for helping families buy their first home or, invest in real estate and help them accomplish something that is so amazing, probably one of the biggest investments of their life because their family lives in that home. If you're at the wrong company or if you're around the wrong people, sometimes you lose sight of why you got into this
Drains you.
industry.
It drains you.
It does. So
Things and people drain you.
You have to
And that's
kinda-
unfortunate why you look at somebody that's an old grizzled vet that's in the financial industry and they look like they've had their soul sucked out 800 times.
never be that person.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like because they've dealt with so much stress over the years.
But they didn't probably make the few decisions that they might have had an opportunity to make that maybe would have avoided looking miserable, your whole
they didn't take the
life
step
or
back.
Whatever it was.
They didn't take the step back and enjoy
Maybe it
the-
was with good intentions for their family, to provide for their family. You can't judge somebody based on
No,
like, what
but most of the time they
sad to
probably
see
didn't take the
sometimes.
step back and realize I need to change things. I need to either get back to the root of why I love what I do, or I have to get back into my fitness, eating healthy, taking care, and spending time with my family.
Correct.
I'm leaving. I promise I'm leaving off on this. The example I wanted to give with the Hamptons, because it kind of full circle back.
Yep.
When I would do the home theater systems in the Hamptons, we dealt with the top 1% of human beings on the planet wealth-wise. Ridiculous. We're talking IMAX theaters in people's homes.
I remember, yeah.
Ridiculous. Every time I would go out for an install, 8 times out of 10, you'd probably see the wife, the kids. Where's the husband? I'd literally asked my owner of my company, where's the husband? Where's he at? Fat house. Why isn't he here? Oh, he's in the city. He works until Sunday, comes out for one day and then leaves and goes back to the city. I mean, I think it's great that you afford a $50 million home in the Hamptons and a live-in nanny, live-in chef, and your wife and your kids get to experience this, but where's dad?
Yeah.
That's all you're good for? The fucking tab?
You have to learn when to sometimes scale it back. Like but a lot of people, men and women both, they can't understand when is that time they get to that
Some
success.
people realize it.
Yeah,
some people realize it and they take the step back, or they have that crash out at 50.
I'd rather die with a couple bucks less and be able
That's
to
what I'm saying.
experience some of those times.
At what point is it like gluttonous?
As it's being built and once it's built.
And who am I to say it? Who am I to say that it is gluttonous that they don't want 100 million instead of 50 million?
Of course.
Dude, do your thing. It's your life. But when you're on your deathbed, did that extra 50 million really matter over losing out all the time with your wife, kids? Your wife dipped. Your kids hate you because you weren't around. But hey, I mean, their 401k is going to be stacked.
Yes,
I mean,
listen.
that's that. This is life.
Yep.
We all make these choices. We all take these routes, and we have to live and understand the path that we're going down. If there's one thing that I can give to everybody as the final note, it's just if you're in that system of life is just a lot and you're not enjoying things, take a step back and figure out what it is that'll make you enjoy life again. Is it getting healthier? Is it spending more time with your family? Is it falling in love or trying a new craft? Just do things. Try other hobbies. Try games. Try playing the guitar. Anything. Just try something to switch it up.
Yeah, because that takes your mind off of all the negativity that's out.
It just
in
gives
this
you
world
different
sometimes,
perspectives.
and a different perspective. So
That's
this
what I'll
was
leave
awesome,
it on.
bro.
Love you, bro. You're the homie.